We're on our way, Houston.
Yo.
Yo, what's up, Toby? I'm shopping with the family. I'm helping out, so can't really talk
Oh,
too much.
cool.
I'm in
I'm
here
just walking the
causing
dog.
havoc, though.
Perfect.
Give me 1 sec. Where's that?
Yo, what up? I'm rewatching Globebusters from yesterday.
There we go. Yo, what's up? Oh, you busting the globe?
Hell yeah. Busting the globe.
That's what's up. Yeah, that was a great stream. I was gonna rewatch it today because Witz had made a lot of like precise and coherent points that I'd just like to familiarize myself with so I could repeat them later for easy.
Yeah, right. I'm like trying to
Because,
make sure I have everything straight. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you made a I saw you were watching the Dave Miller thing today. The
Yeah.
comment. Did you see I hit you back?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
used to shit about it, dog. Not a fucking word.
Yeah,
We're talking
dude,
about
it's
measuring the sky. I don't know nothing about that. Well, let's talk about the
yeah, it's
pressure
like the
or
weakest
temperature.
experience. Yeah, that I love. Witsit also mentioned on the stream. I'm glad I was re-listening to it because then Witsit mentioned how he even put a heat source next to it to basically
Yep.
debunk that.
Yeah, he used different types of radiant heat sources, up to and including like how body heat would affect it. He had his research assistant take measurements at different locations next to the apparatus, standing at different places and stuff, just to see like even like would that affect it, right? Because these are super sensitive, so they had to
Yeah,
figure out what all would affect it. And yeah, they got nothing, dude. They got a bed that's full of shit. Einstein got in
yeah,
their big bed and he just took a big old shit in it and died. And then now everyone's like, no, there's no shit in this bed. Like it's fine. It smells good. Like what are you talking about? But we all see that it's a shitty bed. Nobody wants to get in it anymore.
Yeah, I think the new move of activism is just start hitting up all these channels and start talking about, like ask people, are you going to wear a mask in the next lockdown? That's the only thing I think should be fucking, I was just thinking about, I was listening to Geos and they're over there like hyping up. You guys were hanging out yesterday at ADL. Forgive me, I'm on the same chain of fucking thought right now.
no, you're good, man.
Forgive me, boys.
Yeah, you don't need to apologize.
Yeah, oh man, I'm like, my activist soul is like starting to because I'm getting really hip to this idea that, dude, this flat earth shit is just to keep everybody busy, man. Like, I was thinking, like, you got to go in, like, every one of these channels, just go in and be like, ask whatever asshole you want to attack. I was thinking going into Geos right now. I was going to interrupt this stupid conversation about fucking dilation or whatever and be like,
Are
"Yo,
they talking
Xander,
about time dilation over
I
there?
have no fucking. I couldn't even. I don't even care anymore, dude. Like it's so 2015 to me. Fucking like, and like, I just want to be like, Xanik, are you gonna wear a mask when they come with the next lockdown?
He's
You know what I
obviously
mean?
gonna wear a mask, bro.
Well,
Yes.
you never know. I mean, you never know. And Xanik's pretty Americana, so like, you got to remember the only thing I'm interested in this shit is the social dynamic of what the normies are gonna do. Because like the normies are the ones you got to watch out for. Because the fucking everyone you got to watch out. But like like I just want to see like if everyone's going to shut down that conversation, because like it's really the flat Earth of 2015 topic is this new thing that's going to they're going to come down and try to come with lockdowns again. And I'm thinking the best way to nip it in the
Pretty
bud.
old. I mean,
Well,
he's
the
been
best way
pretty.
to
I mean,
nip it in the bud. The best way to nip it in the bud is like talk about it, make it not cool, make it like what the fuck. Otherwise, it's going to come back, bro.
do you think so? I think they're going to try to just the same thing with the whatever the virus or the strain, the new strain. You think they're going to try that? I think they're going to try
Well, like,
something different.
yeah, no,
Well, yeah, they're
going to
do a climate emergency.
Yeah, it'll be whatever it is, whatever the fuck it is. It'll be whatever it is, and fucking. But we know what the effect will be, what their desired effect will be. And my thing is like, I'm just like on this shit where like the whole flat Earth thing is to keep, because dude, it used to not be like this. It used to be conspiracy oriented. It floated from, you know what I mean? In my head, anyway, I just always saw it as floating from, you know what I mean? Kind of like up, like you're supposed to be the news, is what I always felt like.
I kind of get what you're saying, man.
You're supposed to be the fucking news, bro. If you're a political activist or any of that kind of shit, like which flat Earth kind of entails, you know what I mean? Like, and my thing is like, my whole thing has always been like, nigga, I'm in it to win, bro. I'm not in it to fucking complain on the sidelines, bro.
I mean, there's an I get your argument, and I think it's actually a pretty good point, and I think everyone individually needs to balance how to like approach people. But then at the same time, when you're on these platforms and stuff, like, there's also something to be said for having a specific, concise, like laser sharp focus on one particular topic, and like that way people
That's
seeking out that
butt in right
particular
now.
topic.
That's why I didn't.
Yeah.
For somebody,
but I think you're right too, though. Like I agree at the same time. Like I think there's a fine line,
I'm saying I'm almost coming to you guys like a counsel. Like, what do we do, guys?
yeah, I hear you.
Like fucking A, bro, because like I feel like they've trying to like pigeonhole us into this very vibrant, very very nuanced debate of the shape of the Earth. I mean, that's a lot of information. It's a lot of debating topics.
Yeah.
What's happening around it? And then everyone's like, no, don't talk about COVID. No. And granted, YouTube might shut it down. Like, there's all that kind of shit going on. I get it. But like, but YouTube's rolled back like the election thing. It's pretty obvious the NIH paid Fauci. Like, you know what I mean? Like these things are kind of like they're glaringly obvious at this point. And like, even like
I get what you're saying, dude. It's kind of on us. Like when everything goes lax, now that things are going lax, like we should be jumping all over it. Like, oh, we can talk about this again. Let's get it out there real quick.
Right. Like, why?
You might be onto something with that.
And then at this point, it's self-censorship.
Yeah, because they shell-shocked us all. They successfully shell-shocked us all. Right. Now they can say, well, we rolled all that back, but like everyone's still afraid to talk about it.
Yep. And it needs to be dismantled, bro. I'm on this.
Well, I think it's all connected too, because I think I am of the opinion that it would be the next type of thing would be some kind of a climate emergency, and so that's going to rely on a lot of really specific science that is kind of tied into with all this.
I think for me though, I look at it like their cause is irrelevant. You know what I mean?
True.
It's the effect.
True, as we saw. Yeah.
It's the effect that they're talking. That's to be watched. And I'm just like, I've been just driven lately on this concept that like, it's that old quote. I forget who fucking said it, but it said like, you give them a very lively debate for the people to have within a limited scope.
Oh, that was Bernie Mac.
Bernie Mac. Oh, maybe so. The great Bernie Mac. Fucking
peace be upon him.
Bernie Macrites. Fucking but it was like that kind of idea that they've as we pigeonhole, we've pigeonholed ourselves, or you can wind up in this lively debate about the shape of the earth to no end, because especially like it's so inconclusive. So like
Well, for sure, and just like we see with people in the scientific world, you get your identity wrapped up in, or you get your ego wrapped up in your identity. Your titles, your PhD, your this, your that. It's the same thing from all aspects. Like it's really easy to get excited about the idea that you might know something that other people don't know, and so you kind of start obsessing with that, with the idea of that, and you kind of lose sight of finding the truth, no matter what it is, no matter if it's convenient or not.
Yeah, I mean, even
Because you want to be the guy that discovers the new thing. You want to be, you want to be famous for this, or you want to have more info, even if it's just maybe it's just like a self-perceived worth of like I have more information than you type of thing. I think people definitely will get their egos attached to those type of ideas, and then they'll sacrifice truth for it.
Well, like and I mean, yeah, I mean, like you kind of brought it up earlier, like, and that's kind of my issue is that. And why I kind of always did my own little channel and shit, because I didn't want to step on anybody's toes. But it's the idea of like, hey, wherever the debate's popping, it's almost like, because the real activists, you know what I mean? It's like with flat Earth, you know what I mean? It's like people back in the day, like, so what do you think about Bill Clinton? And we'll be like, well, the Earth is definitely flat because we're not spinning it. You know what I mean? Like it was the whole fucking thing. Was you take it left and you go with your directive of what you're talking about, which would have been whatever it is. But now it's got to be, hey, asshole, are you going to wear, honestly, like I'm almost tempted to get back on my man on the street shit where you come out and just start asking people like, hey, excuse me, are you going to wear a mask if the next lockdown happens? You know what I mean? Just fucking.
I think that stuff's great, man.
That's where we're at. I think, that's the activist shit side of it. Because I just think like, let us be weary of this notion.
That stuff's great because I think you kind of find both sides with it. You find people are not as dumb as you expect them to be, and they're like more receptive to information than you expect them to be. But then you find the extreme people that are just, they reveal so much about their own cognitive dissonance.
This is where like guys like, because remember, a lot of the guys that are not flat earthers are totally your friends when it comes to vaccines, 9/11, fucking, you name it, down the list. They just disagree about flat earth, and then here we are cutting our fucking nose to spite our face because somebody's not a flat earther. In reality, you've dismissed someone who is 99% your ally, and now you're going to dismiss them over, and you're going to fight over and disagree with and never get to grounds with, you know what I mean? Somebody who agrees with you on 99% of the shit except the savior of the earth. And like, I just think Zanuck is the type of dude where if, I honestly feel like if you were to say to him like, yo, Dick, are you going to wear a mask if they come with the lockdown? He might straight up say straight out of his fucking mouth, fuck no. You know what I mean? Because he's got an American edge to him.
Yeah. No, and it's nice when we can find those common grounds.
That's what I'm saying. And then remember, on top of that, it's their goal is divide and rule, so our goal is to unite. You know what I mean? Because that's what they want. They want you fighting this. They want you fighting this dude that's 99% your friend. You know what I mean? So we get lost in this lively. It's just really been hitting me the last couple of days. Just this notion of, I mean, people have posed it to me before, but I've always thought flat Earth, is so revolutionary. But then these last couple of years, man, there's more on the table than the fucking shape of the Earth, bro. They're trying to say you can't leave your house, right? And then you got dudes like, I remember that guy Eggshells, who I'm relatively friendly with. I remember asking him, like, do you think it's okay that the government can tell you not to leave your house within 5 kilometers? And he's like, yeah. And it's like, oh my God, you're a fucking idiot. And I had to tell him, you're a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? And then he's come around, I think. You know what I mean? But I think there's like a conversation that we're not almost being allowed to have. And I think it's this, like, you know what I mean? It needs to be pushed as activists. And that's, like I said,
you're right. Well, it's like if they're opening up that discussion again, and like I was saying, people are kind of shell shocked to talk about it anymore. So it's like, these people are like, people are receptive to what's out there. You know, like what the general consensus is about a topic, and so, you know, if they keep hearing one, I don't know. I think it's good to. Yeah, I agree with most of what you're saying. It's a good good mindset to have.
Or, you know, like when there's a lull in these conversations, or like even I go over in that baller room, that new one with that Cat Demon Stride, and you know, and go push their buttons about it and tell them you can't talk about that. You know what I mean?
Well, you
Like,
probably find it's nice. You'll probably find a lot of random common ground with those guys
that's what I'm saying.
when you start talking about other topics like that.
Fucking
Yeah.
right. Yep. Even that guy, there's one guy, fucking, what was his name? Charlie or something. Man, he had my back on some free speech shit up in there the one day. And then I come in and everybody hates him on the flat earth side, you know? Like, I'm like, dude, this dude's fucking awesome, man. I was like, this guy's fucking, he was right there with me, holding it down on the front lines, you know what I mean? Arguing against communist fucking faggots, you know what I mean? Like, it was great. But then fucking, you know, on flat earth, he's like an arch adversary. And, you know, even him, he sounded, you know, total like a bot. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh my God, you know, I can't even deal with you on flat earth, bro. I can't. But when it came to like matters of freedom of speech and blah, 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 and like, you know, and all this Americana shit, I was like, my man, I fucking love you, dude.
I got to drop off for a few, but I'll be back in a little bit.
Roger.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna try to go with the mask thing because of like some kind of strain at this point. I
Dude, they're
think
already
that
on it, bro. They're already on it. Look up the New York fucking Post and shit. It's already online, nigga.
really.
Oh yeah, dude. They're about. This is what I'm saying. Like, you know, I saw some headlines and shit, and just realized, like, yeah, you know, like I remember, like anytime shit like that happened back in the day or whatever it was at the time, like I'd fire it up and just be like, you know, and that's what we call the name of the show. Fucking, you know what I mean? Like, run it. You know what I mean? Like,
Huh. Yeah, it just seems like more. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, most people should know by now, but there's like mainstream people talking about how stupid it was, calling out Fauci.
dude, I trust.
Like there was like that thing I mentioned, like David Spade and fucking Dana Carvey making fun of him doing Fauci impressions and shit. And
right, but that's where like it needs more public upswell. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I was thinking, like, it's like the kind of shit where I just started thinking of it. Like, I want to. I'm so bored with flat Earth. Like, I just want to go in and like, you know, just start going in and fucking, you know, bringing up, changing the conversation to like election fraud and fucking COVID, and like, you know what I mean? And what's up? You know what I mean? Like, you know, just the idea of like bringing flat Earth to the roots of conspiracy again, and being the forefront, and to be the news, motherfucker, because that's what it should be. It should be the news. That's what I was
flat Earth. As far as the term flat Earth, I mean, people here at least are you know, kind of beyond the limited conversation that's been going on with that. It's been getting kind of exciting with the stuff that Alan's been looking into, and then like some of the stuff about the Æther, which is what the talk tonight's supposed to be about, and all that. That's like next level flat Earth, if you want to call it flat Earth. I mean, we're beyond the discussion of the shape now. We're now looking
now
at
it's like
details
nerding out. It's nerding out on the fucking topic.
Totally nerding out, which is great.
Right. And it's like, you know, right. And that has its place. It's like, you know, kind of brother was mentioning earlier. It's like, you know, so like you don't want to interrupt, and like, you know what I mean? If it's like an event for like whatever it is, like, yeah, that's the topic and that's the nuanced specific topic. But when you're in like a general chat, I almost think of it like I just, you know, I kind of you know what I mean? I'm like wishing that all of us, you know, make an effort across the interwebs, you know what I mean, to like still not forget that we should bring up these topics and fucking raise hell about them a little bit, because they're gonna come again. They're gonna try, because it's their last dying breath.
What are they going to say? It's a new strain that's like the same
Doesn't
thing.
matter what it is. Doesn't matter what it is. But yeah, they are saying it's a new COVID strain. Yeah, coming out of like Michigan, bro.
Okay.
Because, you know, the thing with the scare tactic of viral shit is that, like, they have all that shit, and then you don't know what's going to be the real shit. You know what I mean? If they were to do some bioweapon release, whatever the fuck, which I don't really think we're gonna go that route, but I don't know. I just think like whatever the fuck their cause is doesn't matter. It's the effect they want. You know what I mean? It's the bowing down to the state. But they might have us by the balls because everyone's gonna be like, "Fuck you, I'm not wearing a mask," and then they're all gonna get the whatever fucking whatever it is. Who knows?
Yeah.
Because they've got
Um,
some of us conditioned to like not give a fuck about it, and then imagine if it does fucking go down. Like that's crazy.
Well, the thing is, I don't think that I think they planned the reaction into their plan. I mean, not to say I'm not. People get on me for saying like it sounds like I'm saying it's hopeless, but I think that they want people to resist, and that's part of the plan. You know, for whatever they're gonna do. You know, they want a
Like,
certain, and even if there was enough people, all they have to do is on the regular news report that everybody's following along, even if they're not. You know, like it was just yesterday they were talking about how there's like this hurricane that we're experiencing, and they acted like it was still like a big problem, even though like, all it did was rain here. It was just raining, but they're still on the news acting like it was a big deal, you know? And so, like anybody anywhere else in the world might think California just got hit with a hurricane. It was a huge deal, when really all it did was rain a little bit.
yeah, it makes me think
Funny
if it's
how,
not part. Makes me think if it's not part of that whole Maui operation. You know how like Maui, like a couple weeks before or whatever,
yeah,
they had that
that's what
meeting
people should be talking
to have
about.
like
I
a
mean, that
smart
shit's
city.
crazy.
So like, dude, like right now, I think the Dallas or not Dallas. Oh, who I don't know who's the Chargers football stadium's underwater almost right now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I think
okay.
so. Fucking yeah, I think I saw something about it. And then, dude, I was seeing like pictures from Vermont where they're looking at the fucking like smoke from the fucking fires in Canada, man. Like, and my point is just like with all this going on, here you have like some of the greatest minds like arguing about whether or not ether fucking exists, bro.
Well,
So you have like a
that's
complete,
not that's not a small thing though. I was
you
telling
have
you
a
last
complete
night. It's
big,
not
and
a
let me
small
tell
thing.
you something, bro. Let me tell you
It's
something,
not
bro.
about
That
whether
shit's
ether
got, let me
exists or
tell you
not.
something, bro. That's got nothing to
Yeah.
do with me surviving every day, bro. And what I'm trying to say is that
Well,
this
sure.
limited hangout of the fucking flat earth, which I love dearly and I've fought for years. You know that, right? So like my thing is like, dude, I'm telling you, like our greatest minds are fascinated with an idea that has no practical fucking reality. Meanwhile, the world is burning all around them. And they're about to come down with mask mandates again. They're about to come down. They've stolen an election. Like, how is this not more fucking important? To me anyway. I just feel like, and granted, I understand the kind of escapism of flat Earth because you can get to, if you're talking about flat Earth, like you live a luxurious motherfucking life because you know what I mean. Like you've got time to wonder about these things. But at the same stroke, like, some of our greatest minds are spent here fucking arguing about these issues that really, unless you've got fucking the ability to a NASA budget and the machinery, it's going to be hard to fucking make free energy. Or, I don't even believe in free energy, to be honest. But, like, you know what I mean? I
Well,
understand
it's
the
not a
concept.
belief though. It's a matter of it doesn't exist or not. Like
Right. I
believing
don't
in
think it
free energy
exists.
is one thing, but seeing it, actually
That's me,
exploring
though.
whether it exists or not is another. It's not
But, yeah,
like,
but
oh, I
my point.
believe in free energy.
Right. I mean, like, and again, it's like, that'd be interesting. You know what I mean? I know that a lot of the free energy stuff that's come out has all been a bunch of hucksters. And,
Yeah,
like,
and
so it's
intentionally
all
so,
like,
so that everyone
I mean,
thinks there's no way there's free
the
energy.
double G bluff, bro. I
That's
got the
the
double G
subtlety.
bluff, man. I got the
Yeah.
double G bluff. But the thing is that, at the same stroke, it's like, it's just interesting to me right now. Because like at this particular moment in time, you know what I mean? When all this shit is going down, you know what I mean? Like we're fucking arguing about whether or not interferometry fucking shows there's a fucking ether, man. And granted, I'm a big, and you guys are the wrong guys for me to come and shit talk to on this because you guys are
About that
working,
especially,
you're
yeah,
working
because that's
so hard
a
to fucking
major
make the
component.
point, man. But I only bring it up because I think you guys, and I'm like I said initially, it was just couples in here, and I was counseling, like I'm like, guys, I want to go interrupt everyone and fucking tell them that make fun of them and ask them if they're going to wear a mask or not. Because I think like that's the fucking new, I don't know, man. That's like Flat Earth was 2015 hot topic. Now the fucking shit is the world's on fire.
Well, the other thing, as you're aware, the other thing that Flat Earth did, especially for people that have been in the conversation for a while, maybe not yourself as much, but we don't believe in politics anymore. I mean, the stolen election was like a farce. The whole thing was a farce, in my opinion. It was like a fake. Like they don't count the votes. They pick the person, and it was all planned, in my opinion. Right? That's what Flat Earth does for a lot of people. Is it gets you to see past that. Now, maybe it's also part of the plan for them to think, oh, okay, so Flat Earth is just a distraction, and you're not even giving your vote anymore, and you're not even putting your time into like actually making things really happen. But I think Trump is probably, one of them as well, and it's all like a plan to make us think that the election was stolen and get us to worry about that
Let me
when
ask you a
really it was a
question.
fake. You know what I'm saying?
Well, right,
They
but
don't
dude,
take the
like,
vote.
who more than anyone here has the greatest hopium fucking explanation in the world for this shit, bro? Come on, man. I got that. You know that, right?
Right?
Right.
True.
So
But
I'm Captain.
I don't
I'm
think
Captain
you think
Hopium.
they count the votes.
Right. I'm
You think it's
Captain
all
of
on
the
the up
fucking.
and up?
Right, and dude, and I'm saying like I've been, and I've been saying it forever, bro. Like, you know what I mean? The Illuminati is just following the stars. The stars aren't good or bad, and the stars are saying we're moving into a better generation or something better has coming. Do you know what I mean? So like the Illuminati has activated people to resist in a way that is actually beneficial for them potentially because it's more beneficial. It's like my whole theory with the guidestones. Like they need to they need to get rid of 80% of the population, and 80% of the population thinks they're on a ball. They're really sad to hear that it's them that has to go because the Illuminati would prefer an intelligent society. Do you
Yeah,
know
I
what I
wish
mean?
you were
Like,
right about
I get
that.
it,
I
bro.
really
You know what
hope
I mean?
you're right about that.
Well, yeah. So
Doesn't
like,
seem like why would they Illuminati be trying to get people to put masks on so they can eliminate those people that want to put masks on? Then is that philosophy?
I mean, I think just to exacerbate their breathing and hopefully seduce them into a heart attack because they've got to kill fucking 80% of the population. But like, I just and like there's the whole. This is what's kind of catching me off guard, bro. Is like even like what if like let's say like I'm over here like fuck you, I'm never wearing a mask, and yet like and let's say they come down with something that is real, and it's a bunch of people that aren't wearing masks, but then all them motherfuckers are the one to go. Because you got to remember in the technocracy, the liberal leftard baltard is the ideal citizen. In the republic, like i.e. what I think the Illuminati and what them preserve, you know what I mean, or whatever, like there's like this shit ain't going. That's why I'm as hopium as it gets, because I'm like, fuck you, this shit's the word of God. Like you can't remove this. So like, that is my staunchest, hardest opinion. It's hopeful. But like at the same stroke, you can't be fucking ignorant to the fact that they might get a bunch of people to not want to wear a mask and then actually put down something and make them all get it. Because that's like I said, the liberal lefty is the fucking perfect atheist super soldier for the technocracy. It's just like we're literally at like a fork in the road of like, are we going godly or are we going fucking liberal lefty lunatic? And like my point is this though, but the pressure of that topic, right? If we're gonna stick to the theme of like whatever, is like making sure that everyone's not gonna bow down to the lockdown. Making sure everyone's gonna fucking know that, hey man, yeah, we're talking about the ether and fuck the lockdown. And what I'm just trying to say is like the idea that I'm weary of this notion that we're gonna have a lively, limited debate of flat earth and we're gonna miss the big picture. Or people in general may miss the big picture. In fact, some of the most intelligent people are going to miss the big picture because they're so immersed in the technicality, the minutia of like flat Earth.
Yeah, but people who argue about the ether aren't wearing masks. I mean, that's like is that we COVID's bullshit.
Right, and I'm just saying like that wave needs to be exemplified. Like, you know what I mean? Like that, like we have a pressure on the fucking neck of the beast right now in that regard. Because really it's something that all of us already know. But my point is that the layman, the mainstream dude, they're like I was saying earlier about my problem with flat Earth is that as a topic is that 99, like you're gonna, like I have friends that I agree with 99% on the, like they will come to war for me on vaccines, 9/11, and then as soon as you bring up flat Earth, we're arch enemies. So you divide your own army. So like, you know, and all I mean is that like we got people out there that like, and this is why you got to establish the agree to disagree kind of shit with people and whatever, is because ultimately we all need to stand in agreement that, hey, fuck you, we're not wearing a mask, and you know what, let's continue our debate because fuck you, the Earth's a ball, or fuck you, the Earth's flat. I mean, like, because that's a healthy society. Like that's a, like I said, like you're living a luxurious life if you think, and you're talking about flat Earth because you got enough time on your hands to give it consideration. You get thanks to God for that. You know what I mean?
Or we just don't buy into the new current thing. Like the COVID thing didn't affect me at all. These fires in Hawaii, wherever they're at, they don't affect me at all. Trump, politics, they don't affect me at all. So why would I give energy towards it, you know?
Well, the only reason is because as like societally, like we've got pressure, like from the mainstream, from the normies, the tide is turning about, let's say, wearing masks, about like, I think once you go over that precipice of like people aren't going to have it anymore and they're not wearing masks anymore, flat Earth becomes easy to digest. It's the ability to say no to this ideology that people need to overcome. And part of that, like I said, like the general pressure of society, not our nuanced interests. Like, you know what I mean? You don't maybe need to hear this, you know what I mean? But like these, I was kind of getting to earlier, is like these shows, these things, these online, these platforms, I always kind of personally viewed them as like the fucking news. And like they are the news. If you want to fucking learn about the new fucking study on whatever, I mean, Witsit is fucking slaying them. You know what I mean? And bringing up all the new juicy fucking meat on the bone topics about fucking interferometry and the rest of it. I'm just saying, and I think it interesting that, you know, these are great debates, but it's like, hey, the world's burning. That's what I feel like. And the job of the activist, the job of the quote unquote fucking rock and roll flat earther is to push those buttons that where we have the pressure. Because flat earth is inevitable. Like if you're a flat earther, you're already a flat earther. You know you're not fucking spinning, and no goddamn fucking man is going to change your mind about it after you get to a certain point. You know, granted,
now I have to interject because it was the opposite for me. Like I knew I was turned on to all that stuff first, and then like flat earth and the Æther were kind of like the light at the end of the dark truth or tunnel for me.
Well, no, and what I mean is that like, and you know, I guess like you were saying, it was relatively new, the penny dropping and everything hitting you. And I understand the desire to debate and like, you know what I mean, like challenge these ideas. Like myself, I'm like, I don't know, 6-7 years into this, man. You know what I mean? Like I'm already like, there's no baller gonna come up with no fucking, you know, like I'm not worried about my opinion about the shape of the earth, where I felt there was a very certain time in my life that I had. That's why I went online and debated and fucking fought for it and found out, because I was like, what do these ballers have? You know what I mean? Like I had to go through it for myself. And I'm just saying, when you come to that conviction, it's almost immovable after a certain point. That's all I was trying to get to. Because like for us, it's already there. Like I'm just saying, it's a moot topic. Now, granted, if it's going to lead to free energy, I get you, you know, carry on. You know, and I would never want to stifle the debate, but I'm almost like, I don't know. I saw you guys in here. I was just coming in. I had it on my head. I was going to come in and interrupt the whole conversation at Geo's just to be a dick and be like, yo, what's up? Yeah, I told you, I told New Perspective, my plan is to get kicked off of every platform. Because
you're just trying to like have a reason that that people aren't seeing anymore.
No,
like, he was saying shit no one wanted to hear.
Well, no, I know what to do. How about this? It's like if I was at a party, like dude, I'm so good at starting fights, bro. I fucking start fights like.
I bet you are.
Because fucking, I just clown up on a motherfucker, and then it's time to fucking go. And like, I just think, in the same stroke, you know, I mean, that's what activism is, except it's through ideologies and ideas. You know what I mean? You're stimulating someone, you're fighting them over these fucking things. And I'm just saying, like, I'm good at picking fights, and I think like it's like there's certain worthy fights. Like flat Earth, like I've said before, is not the hill for me to die on. However, medical tyranny, bro.
Yeah, that's something exactly.
That's something totally fucking different, bro. So like, you know what I mean? Like if you're gonna be on that shit, and that's what I think. That's what I'm just saying. We have a general pressure from the populace of our boot on their neck in regards to the idea that they would tell us what to do. And I'm telling you, there's fucking news articles in the paper right now that are talking about this new Omicron, new variant, new fucking this, that, the other thing. And the whole thing is just fucking ask everybody, you going to wear a mask when this shit goes down? I say, pull out your phone. You going to wear a mask? You know what I mean? Like fucking the man on the street shit. Like I used to do with the flat earth. Fucking, excuse me. What do you think about the new mandates coming down? What's your opinion? Blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Get people to fucking hate it. Make it cool to hate it. Like we made, you know what I mean? Like flat earth is fucking, I don't know, man.
Well, the thing I think that anybody here would be worried about more than anything, as far as like what they might do, and what we have been worried about, something that you know, a fear could come from this, and maybe that's the bigger issue beyond the mask is there ever going to be a fucking vax mandate? If there's ever going to be a vax mandate where you can't even go anywhere without fucking getting poked, then we're talking about like, okay, well, people aren't educated on the science of this, regardless if they're going to, I mean, most people have no idea what you're talking about. Are you going to wear a mask? You know, it's more like, what is the science? I mean, that would be the real directive is like, what are we talking about here? We got to talk about like, go back to the roots of it. We're with, you know, the terrain theory versus germ theory. We're talking about the reason that this whole thing was rolled out to begin with is getting people to believe that there's fucking bugs in the fucking air that are getting into them, and then they're treating the viral reaction of an infection in your body that is actually
right. Yo, hey, bro, that's what needs to be talked about.
Yeah,
that's where that comes. You know what I mean, dude? Like that's where that like, you know, honestly, like I should do a presentation on how the Æther how the Æther is going to stomp down the new COVID variant.
Well, actually, I made that connection already. No, seriously. Listen, dude, I'm already on that because it's directly related in this way. And I've been talking about the microzyma for a while. I'll send you a site that this, you know, the guy that was really championing the science of all this, Andrew Kaufman. He was the man to talk. You know, was really putting out great information about, you know, what are we actually talking about here? What is the science behind this? And I was looking at the microzyma, and then come to find out he's talking about that too. And it was back with Antoine Péchamp and his confrontation with you know, it was like a, you know, big deal as far as like, you know, people paying attention at the time with Louis Pasteur. And it was like, which one is it? Is it environment, or is it, you know, some kind of germ thing? And then of course the backing with the money and the political shit went to Louis Pasteur. And then, you know, Béchamp was literally extracted from encyclopedias when he had like a couple pages of encyclopedia entries just for his credentials that he should have, you know. So they've snuffed it out. But the microzyma are the you know, what he was seeing with the microscopes that were like beyond some of the, you know, microscopes that some of the stuff that they're using today. And there was another guy that followed it up, and he called them somatids. And then, but anyway, what they were seeing is that there's like these this intelligence that's an electron, you know, electric little energy at the heart of every cell that's pleomorphic, that can make itself into whatever it needs to make itself. And that permeates all organic and inorganic life, and it could be called as a whole the Æther, the intelligence that connects all living things at the very heart of the cell.
Fuck yeah, I fuck yeah, that comports completely. You know what I mean? Yep. Like in my eyes, like, you know what I mean with that idea. That's why, like, what gets me is, I don't know. I mean, that's really fascinating. Fuck yeah.
It is, and that's the connection there that you're talking about, that you're looking for. So I'll send you some info on it.
Well, yeah, and I think, well, here's the thing. How about that being like? How about that? Like, I almost feel like that's the direction. Then, do you know what I mean? Right. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's like there's gotta fucking be. I don't know, man. I just, like I said earlier, I saw you guys in here. I kind of came in here with the same chain of thought I had like from late last night before I passed out. And just this concept of let us be weary of the fucking limited hangout. And like, you know, how like, I mean, and I love flat earth to bits, but it's like, you know what I mean? There's like this whole spectrum of conversation that's going to happen. You could disagree on 10 million fucking things and debate someone on it. But it's like, if you look outside, potentially, like, you know, there's fires in Canada. They're fucking, you know, they're earthquaking here. They just did Maui. They're coming with a new Omicron variant. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's all these other like activist or not like social ideas that are coming down the pipe that I think deserve attention.
Yeah,
that's all.
Apparently, this year Canada has had 2,293 fires, and currently there's 1,000 fires going on right now.
Dude,
that's what
yeah,
they
man,
say.
dude. I'm in the Northeast, right? And that shit, there are some days when they're fucking reporting that they're seeing all the like the people are like the air level isn't that good because of the fire that's coming down.
Brooklyn, New York's burning as we speak.
Dude, and New York with the immigrant fucking thing.
Whoa.
Even.
Yeah, well,
what do you mean about New York burning?
They're burning down.
What is it today? Today is Tuesday, so let's see.
Jackie, I couldn't hear you. Say that again. What's up with New York, man?
They're burning down Brooklyn right now. As we
no
speak.
way. Where at? What do you mean, like? What do you mean, like some activist shit or what? Like, what do you mean?
No, they just fucking set fires to all the businesses in Brooklyn, the downtown area. They're all on fire right now.
What, Fulton and all that?
Yeah, the center of Brooklyn.
Right, coming off. You talking about coming off the bridge right there? Yep. No shit.
Yep. They're on fire right now. The whole like 2 blocks.
Hey, yo, no. Hold up. Are you talking about? Hold up. Are you talking like Court Street? Or are you talking up on like the Manhattan?
I'm not sure exactly what street it is because I was just looking at it. I didn't even hear exactly the street.
Because if you come off, if you come off the
bridge.
I'm just wondering if you come off the Brooklyn Bridge or if you come off the Manhattan Bridge. If you would know, just like I used to live over there. Like I used to live on Court Street or off of Court Street. I used to live all over Brooklyn. Fucking yeah, that's crazy. I have to look into that.
Yeah, it's going on right now. Like they started earlier today. It's up to like businesses burned.
Right. I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Last week, the news report stated that this is going to be the new norm with the fires. Last week, Thursday, this is going to be the new norm with all the fires going on, yeah? And if we go back to 1995, we have the American military, Pentagon and that, saying they were going to own the weather by 2025. They're going to own the weather. Now, I think what's going on here is geoengineering, okay, via weather manipulation. The whole point of that, so they can have a land grab and put out GMO foods rather than organic foods. This is what's going on. This is the precursor, I think. Okay, we have got 2 documents.
It's the Williamsburg area of New York.
2010 and 12.
Williamsburg area of
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Putting this scenario right on now.
Yeah.
Do we have any links or anything they can drop so we know what you're talking about?
I got one if you need it. It's just that there's a fire in Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
Say that again?
We were talking about Jen. We were talking about these fires in Brooklyn, and Jackie was kind of mentioning that of where it was for me while you were just finishing up. But yeah, I agree with you completely, Jen. But real quick to the New York thing. What do you call it? Yeah, if you want a link, I'll put it in. If you can't put it in. But yeah, I guess there's like it seems like there's a fire, and I guess I just read or saw this headline where it was like some guy left his kids in the building, and I don't know, they got burned up or not killed, but hurt. I don't know, but I don't know what. That's interesting though. I think in New York, even with like the immigrant population and everyone just fucking sleeping on the streets or some shit like that, out in the hotels and like. All my point is this, and like kind of just walk it back a touch. Like, and I love what you're saying, Jen, is like this idea of making this the conversation as opposed to the nuances of flat earth at times, because we're forgetting where flat earth came from, which is conspiracyville to save the world kind of shit. So like the idea is to be the news. And like, while we're over here having the limited debate within the spectrum of the shape of the earth, all this shit's going on around us. And then everyone, even worse, flat earthers, whatever, no disrespect for all the, because I have my own conspiracies, whatever. But like, the idea that we can just poo-poo this because I'm like, oh, well, that's all politics. So that's all the Illuminati and doesn't matter. And this, da, da, da. I think that's how they put you to sleep, man. Because like, I think it's just like right now, the idea of like I was bringing up earlier, the pressure, forgive me, the pressure of, the masks and the rest of it is kind of at our favor right now, and we shouldn't lose the momentum.
I mean, why do you think that you're going to like save these normies? I think that they're unsavable, and you're acting
He's right.
like a fool's errand to me. Like,
remember, well, hold up.
Ask-
Remember, I was talking about how, like, dude, a lot of the ballers, I know a lot of ballers, rather, that 99% of the shit, like, regarding, like, let's say vaccines, 9/11, da-da-da-da-da, they are on board with. They completely understand. It's only when you bring up the 1% concept of the flat earth and they fucking hate you, and then you hate them.
Hey, I just wanted to say Osco's right, because I tried to stop everybody from taking the shots, and they all took the shots anyway. So, you know, I tried for years. Hey, brother, love it. Great to see you. Great to see you.
Great to see you as well. Now, going back to what was said, I was always keeping an eye on what was going on flat earth, regardless of my debates with flat earthers there, but I was always concerned with the other issues that are creeping up on us all the time. I've got documentaries that I've been watching from 2010, 12, that's explaining this very scenario right now that we're in now, all these fires, for example. Okay, one is called What in the World Are They Spraying? And then the sequel to that was Why in the World Are They Spraying? And it was all to do with Hawaii being the world's laboratory for the GMO stuff and the chemtrails. Okay, and that's where it all kind of like started off from. And it's excellent documentaries. It explains how they're using the weather geoengineering in the stock exchange, the stock markets, and they're making their money from predicting weather. People are making money hand over fist over this stuff.
Must be. They must be, bro. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think what I'll do is I will post these two documentaries because I say it's recommended viewing.
Like, my thing, I guess, and like, Jen, you're right on the money. Like, I almost feel like, dude, all the documentaries from like 2010, 2009, 20, anything before the fucking purge needs to be reintroduced to the normies that are like, what do you mean the earth is flat? You know what I mean? Like, they need to know the roots, you know what I mean, of why flat earth makes sense. I mean, think about it like this. You're literally arguing with someone about the whole paradigm of their philosophy.
They need to know what they've missed whilst they've been enjoying themselves.
That too. But like, they literally don't know not to trust a politician, basically.
Yeah, that's all.
And like, you know, my point being is that, like, as these, and I'm just saying, we've got pressure on the necks with these fucking topics.
So, yeah.
Like, all these alleged conspiracy theories have been like,
I'm busking with.
Yeah, like, you know, we have like this big social pressure of like, you know, hold on one sec, brother. One sec, man. One sec. Like, we have this social pressure on their neck right now. And I think, like, you know, with that, it's like, especially with the whole flat earth thing and the idea that they're all angry at Whitsitt for talking about the ether. I almost want to ask Whitsitt, like, hey, Whitsitt, start killing them with the COVID shit. You know what I mean? Like, just, you know what I mean? Because this is where the pressure is almost needed. You know, we've already kicked their ass, and like, flat earth already won. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, like, for people paying attention, and a lot of people that didn't see.
Right, but remember though, the flat earth is inconsequential. Like, I mean, I get why it's consequential.
Right, but wait a minute. It's not. Maybe the actual shape of the earth is inconsequential. But the idea, the fact that people can see that they're lying about the bigger things, like we talked about with, if you didn't see 9/11, it was hard for you to see flat Earth, right?
Well, just the fact that
there's that much control. Man. How deep the control is what we're talking about. They're never going to get digested.
Hold up, man. Could you have digested flat Earth? Could you have digested flat Earth without knowing about 9/11?
That's what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, that's it. We're in the same thing, man. Yeah, man.
Right. So that's why. But could you digest that they're lying about the pandemic if you didn't realize that a lot of people can't get there without flat Earth? They can't see how big the lies can be. They're lying about everything, including the shape of the Earth and the pandemic. I mean, it takes seeing that the biggest lies are the biggest lies.
Boys.
Go ahead. You're roboting.
I'm just trying to say that I could have got through. Right. Okay. I could get to flat Earth without 9/11.
Okay.
So that's how I would have been able to
You're
realize
rare.
that.
A lot of people
I don't
can't.
need
A lot of
9/11 for
people
that.
couldn't. Well, we got Shane in here, and he didn't realize. I don't know what he thought about 9/11 before he realized that the Earth isn't what they were telling us, but the pandemic is what woke him up to flat Earth, right? And a lot of people got there that way, right?
Yep, we're like the most recent wave, I guess. There should be a wave after us. But yo, are we streaming this, Toby? Toby, are you here?
Yeah,
right.
yeah, we've been streaming it all. Yeah.
Oh well, I'm gonna stream on my channel too. Is Alan here? Oh, I was figuring we
Sweet,
could just
please
swap.
do, because I'm like thinking there's always a decent chance it gets taken down already, just based on what we've said.
And
yeah, dude, forgive me, man. I did not know you were streaming or any of the rest of that shit.
Oh no, it's all good, dude. But I can also stream to Alan's channel at the same time, so we could do like a quad, I think, and then we can do some good Ether talk. Hopefully, do you have anything to like present? Or are you just hoping that we would just get together and discuss it?
I'm hoping we just kind of get together and discuss it. Like, there's a few things I'm gonna say to start things off, but then we'll just kind of go from there.
Do we have like videos to show? Because I think there's a couple, 2 or 3 ones that would.
Hell yeah! If you want to go after me, if that's cool, and then if you want to show your videos, that'd be sweet.
Oh no! Hold on, I'll go find some then.
Oh, I thought you made it sound like you had something you wanted to
say. No, I should have corrected that. I was like, I actually don't have anything, but we could hypothetically present a couple 2-minute videos or something. Oh, like Cyrus is here, right? Cyrus can talk about his etheric experience. What did he call it the first time I talked to him? The etheric. Actually, it was damn near ether wind, huh? So he probably knew more than what he was letting on. It's probably because he's a Freemason.
Yeah. I hold the same suspicion.
I feel like if he was here, he would have come off and told me off by now. So
right. Well, cool. Thanks y'all for being here. Yeah, this is awesome.
This is a surprising turnout. Yeah, it's good to see everyone. I noticed that it's only the cool people and no ridiculous Globers. So I don't know if that was the intent.
No, I didn't really know what to expect, honestly.
Hey, thanks. This place is cool because a bunch of cool people here.
Well, would it be as cool, Smurf, if we invited like 6 or 7 toxic douchebags here?
No way. No.
You don't think?
Please don't do that.
Yeah, no, I'll leave if you do.
No
great
toxicity, please.
It's great to see all of y'all. You're all so cool, man.
Yeah, man. Back at you, brother.
Cool.
I mean, my hope is to keep it open, allow anyone in that wants to talk and listen. But I also, I'm not afraid to do like a 1 strike policy. It's like, if you I'll let people be a useful idiot if they want to go back and forth and let us expound our ideas, because they think they're challenging us and they're not. But at the same time, when someone is just antagonizing and drive or filibustering and not saying anything, Zanuck walks the line. Sometimes he kind of says things and then he's really not saying anything.
I'm just trying to feel you out, Zanuck wise.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That's a conundrum in itself. That's why it's 1 strike. Like, he gets 1 chance, basically.
Well, may I suggest the Jackie sniff test policy, where if Jackie doesn't think something's right, we'll just ban you outright, no questions asked, and move on.
Yeah. I approve.
It works for you, it works for me, is the way I see it. So
I hardly ever bans, but there's been a couple people that she's like warned me about that I've been like, nah, you're crazy, we're fine, and then later been like, oh, you were totally right.
Yeah, Jackie, that sounds good. If you trust Jackie, I trust Jackie.
I just wanted to ask when the first FTFE goonball is.
Good grief.
There will be none of that here.
I think that has a nice home with Apocryphon at the Asylum, honestly, and alternating with MMM. I think that's where that belongs.
So long as Jackie's happy, everything's cool. I like that. That's awesome. Like, that's good. It's official.
Well, I'm going to need all the help I can with keeping people that are truly just trying to be malicious out, because there's people that'll come in and use multiple accounts. One account will drop some illegal content, and then another account will go report us, and then we're hosed or anything like that.
Pardon me, I'm really baked. I'm serious, though.
I would never have guessed that, Smurf, to be honest.
It's great to be here, and it's great to see all y'all are so cool.
What was Issa crushing on before I rudely interrupted?
Well, he was talking about like how maybe flat Earth.
Yeah, I feel like a dick because like you guys are actually all here to like hear. That's so funny, dude. I was sitting around and I was just
You were doing you, I'm sure. Did you preaching and everyone was digging what you were saying as usual? I'm sure.
Wow, thanks, man. Just it's just funny because, here I am. I literally saw like 2 people in here earlier, and I just hopped in. It was Riggs, and I love Riggs, and I was like, oh god, I gotta just fucking talk to people, and basically what I was saying was just this idea of like, let us be wary that the idea of flat Earth being this limited hangout, so that we're over here arguing these nuanced, almost what's the term? Like, like they're, you can't answer. What the fuck is the term I'm thinking of? Like, inconclusive, like inconclusive concepts, while our world burns around us, and like the idea of like, let us just be wary of it. And like, and like, even like, I was thinking like, just pushing the envelope of like, anytime you're in like, fuck flat Earth. You know what I mean? Like, just motherfucker, yeah, you wearing a mask, bro? Are you wearing a mask, or are you going to comply with the next fucking shit show? You know what I mean? Because, like, if somebody says no to that, regardless of the shape of the Earth, they should be looked at as somewhat of like an ally in this time.
Well, yeah, man. See, I feel that because, like Dave said, I come from the COVID wave. So before that, I knew nothing. But that means, like, there was a great many people who, like, were waking up because, hey, vaccines are probably poison. You probably shouldn't give them to your kids. And you definitely shouldn't mask children. And, hey, you shouldn't medically dictate someone's fucking poison, like government juice. And then, hey, all the companies who were trying to do this have actually been charged with corruption and malpractice, like, just a couple years ago for, like, the highest fine ever. And then you keep going. And those people are awake, right? They're on the path, I think. I think that, like you were saying before, there's a prerequisite path. I think I like to call it the staircase of disbelief. The steps of ever increasing incongruity with the world around you until you eventually snap out of it. And the first step could be 9/11 or JFK or something like that. And one of the last rings is definitely COVID, and then at the top is usually flat Earth. I think that's a wonderful way to analogize it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. There's like and you don't know what it's going to be for somebody. You know what I mean? You don't know what it's going to be that triggers somebody to think. I mean, I remember telling people about 9/11 in like 2005 or 6, I think. And people being like, there's no way that the government would ever do that. And, and then like fucking 2010, you know what I mean? They're like, 9/11 was an inside job. And you're like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, because, you telling them maybe helped, but you weren't, they're going to fight you over it. So like, and like you said, even too, like flat Earth is the last penny to drop. Usually for me, it was the perfect puzzle piece after all kinds of conspiracy, like you learn, just entertaining conspiracy thoughts. And it just made the most, it just fits in right in place. But for someone who doesn't know, and you introduce this weird puzzle piece, it doesn't fit into their puzzle.
Yeah.
And, and just to be able to recognize who you're talking to in order to, because like I said too, is that dude, 90, like I've got people, like take Grimm out here. 99% of the fucking dude, that dude is your fucking ally when it comes down to every other topic. But then you bring up flat Earth and he's like, ha ha ha. And, he's a baller. You know what I mean? But that's okay.
Only so much as he likes curvature. Everything else is on our side.
Well, whatever. It's like, again, it's like, it's got no, even if like you decided the Earth is flat, like what's going to fucking change in the world? Your microwave still operates on the same principles. What the fuck, bro? You know what I mean? Even if I'm just saying, it's like, so when we're hanging out and making these big, crazy arguments and debates and explaining how the intricacies of the world work, what good is it if the world's burning down around you? That kind of idea, or like, society. Society.
It takes breaking up a certain thing.
You know what though? If everyone was flat earthers, the world would absolutely not burn down. And if like 10% of the world would do what we knew and stood up, then the rest of the world would follow. So like, what does it matter? It could mean everything.
Well, I mean, to an extent, I agree, but I just think like the topic, like I just think, we got to watch out for the self-censoring. That was also one of the other ideas, was just this notion that they've got us into a position where we're willing to self-censor. Like if you go into a flat Earth debate and there's a lull in the conversation and introduce COVID or viruses, everyone's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, bro,
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah, honestly, dude, I feel you. I was never about that. That was my major detachment from the 21st century community when I got to Discord. I was like, oh, a whole bunch of truthers. This is great. You guys know about this? Yeah. And then like, oh, you know about this? Hey. No. I was like, what? What the fuck? What do you mean? No, it's like pivotal to the whole wait, what? And then like, so I just, I refuse to censor it. That's kind of what started this whole thing. That's why I keep getting banned and keep going back. And that's what's in like the intro to this to my server that I made. It's like literally I refuse to censor ourselves according to fucking YouTube guidelines because fuck them.
Yeah, well then another point, like Issa made the point that like, you know, or Issa was making the point, and I thought I brought up like I think they've laxed the COVID talk on YouTube to an extent, right?
No,
like,
really, you can't say vaccines are poison.
I don't think you can say that. I think you're right.
Right, but then there's ways.
But
to
they
like,
have
when
laxed it up to an extent, so it's like to an extent, it's kind of on us to say something.
Yeah, but check it out.
And we're live,
Let's say
aren't
you're a
we?
moderator
Well,
of
we've
a
been live
channel
this
like
whole
that.
time, but
Let's say you're a moderator of a channel like that, though. If you're the moderator, it's kind of like I like Jimmy Dory and a couple guys do it. If I'm over here railing against COVID, you know what I mean? Then you might just want to say, "Hey, man," but you know, everyone knows that the vaccine is safe and effective.
yeah, let's go
You know
ahead and
what I
say
mean? Like,
that.
you know, just fucking
Let's just
play the
say it
game
right
in that
now.
way.
Everyone knows the vaccine is
Right.
ultimately safe, ultimately effective. It's perfect in every which way. And even before they even made it, we knew it was perfect.
Right. And you know what's funny is literally like by stating it just like that, they're cool with it. And yet you've dismantled their whole argument because, you know, they don't have any wit. You know, you hear, listen to these ballers, man. If you try to crack a joke, they have no sense of humor. They don't get the joke. They're inept, bro. They're like bots. They don't have social cues. They don't get it. They don't understand.
Dude, here's the
something
sad reality of it. This is the most popular they've ever been in any of their lifetimes.
That too.
Fucking can you imagine that the people that talk to you the most, give you the most attention in life, are people you're supposed to hate and come against you, and you come against them all the time. Oh,
But that's why you got to make it like, you know, it's like I always make it enjoyable. You got to make it funny. And
for
funny
sure.
always,
Keep it light.
you know,
Keep it
funny
light,
always
man.
wins.
So actually doing the opposite of that. Let's get on topic here.
Yes, and you know what? And forgive me, I won't belabor the point anymore. But yeah, and forgive me for interrupting the Easter conversation. I'm looking
You're all
forward to
good,
it.
man.
Yep.
You're always good, Issa. No worries, man.
Thanks, brother.
Well, you know what's good about what you're talking about, which is saying that, you know, the flat Earth is a limited conversation, and this is kind of I guess this channel or this talk maybe even is kind of celebrating, like, you know, this leaving the limited conversation of flat Earth and going beyond that with the recent conflict that we kind of all had a bit of. We saw that there was you know, somebody on one side or whoever, not to name names, but, you know, there was the whole thing with Witsit and Jaren on one side saying, you know, look, you're just shutting down the conversation about the Æther without reason, you know, and just because you can't have a independent variable doesn't mean that, you know, that we can't explore this idea that might be key with a lot of things that they're covering up. In fact, the reason that they might be trying to push a limited conversation in flat Earth, and that's what's kind of cool about this talk that we're about to have.
Yeah, no, I'm getting personal with it. Why I care about it is like Æther specifically is I don't know. I saw like flat Earth kind of as like the, you know, realizing I'm on a plane as was kind of like the light at the end of the dark truth or tunnel. I think I've said a couple times a day, but the Æther was like the even brighter light. Like it was like a realization of like I had the intuition as a kid that like they're not measuring something. Like how can they know? They could never know. I knew it as a kid. Like these things they're saying, and like all the stuff about the atomic model, like the smallest thing is an electron and a proton neutron. It's like this is all kind of just as a child, it's intuitive. Like they can't know this stuff. This is because even if they were able to measure something, how would they know that what's inside of that? You know, like it's just intuitive. And so you know, they give you this idea of space and in the absence of space, and this idea with the atomic model, you know, where you have matter and then you have, you know, it's like everything. It's a materialist point of view, and it's hard to not have cognitive dissonance with the way you orient yourself in the world when you have a materialist point of view like that. And so then when you start getting into Æther and you become confronted with the idea of basically flipping the entire paradigm on its head, where instead we're within a fluid or some kind of a medium, and there's ongoing vibrations of that medium, and I'm you know, where I perceive from is its own vibration of the medium. suddenly my connection to, well, so first I'm confronted with the idea that there has to be a mover of the medium. Like there's something started the move, and that's a very, very, very different point of view, a very different connection to your world than the Einsteinian cosmos, and with relativity and having a relativistic framework. It's relativity, having a relativistic framework like that is it puts cognitive dissonance in your head, and it helps to facilitate all the the crazy things that they can get us to believe, because it basically just leads to nihilism. And once you're a nihilist, you're kind of useless. So, getting back to all of it. So, when you flip the paradigm on its head and you're confronted with the idea that there has to be a mover, not only is that the case, but then when it's all based on vibrations and the mover is moving everything around you, or or at least started the movement of everything around you, how we interact with that, and where good and bad comes into that, and ethics comes into that, is a whole different discussion. But it changes the paradigm, and it changes the whole idea of prayer, right? Like if my prayer is a vibration of a communication, and I'm or even if it's in my head, and there's vibrations going on within my own frequency, or some aberrations within my own frequency, and that translates out to the ether that I exist with, it completely changes the paradigm. It turns materialism on its head. So that's why it's important to me.
Dude, so well stated. When I think about the mediums, or just the medium, we have gas, air pressure, we have water, a different form of medium. But just those two things, and as you say, the vibration that one can create with whatever method you choose to initiate that energy sequence with, it propagating in whichever way that it does, on whatever medium that it does, is what sends me for a vibration myself, so to speak. Very well stated, Ben. Please, whoever wants to go ahead, please do.
Thank you. I was just going to state for the record that I think ether is there, and we shouldn't let it give us cog dis, because we can't confirm anything from here regarding what's up in the sky anyway. So we should leave the door wide open for that ether. It's good to discuss it. It's healthy. No one's saying it's definitely there 100%, because we can't say that unless we can go there. Okay, we shouldn't let it destroy ourselves from within, and then set us one against each other and start splitting hairs. And I think it's silly. Okay, it's got
and
to be on
I don't even want to.
ether.
I want to be real clear. I don't even want to get into the I know there has been some debate going on about the ether, or not debate. It hasn't been debate. It actually has been a split and an argument, and some personal things that have gone on with the ether. And I want to avoid that discussion as much as possible. And let's just actually stick to the actual topic as much as possible. But Jin, by the way, I'm really happy to have you here. So please go ahead.
Very much for inviting me, and I appreciate that a lot. All I'm saying is that the ether subject, it's interesting, it's fascinating. We shouldn't allow it to destroy us from within. It's not that thing at all. We can't really prove it, so that's all I got to say.
Well, I would interject there, because we maybe can't necessarily quote on. Well, proof is relative to what's proof to you, what's sufficient, but we have taken measurements of the sky that show a movement of a translation of the movement of the sky, and we can show a difference in that translation of the movement of the sky depending on our altitude. And so that's a those are first order measurements, and we can use those to at least substantiate that something is moving.
Yes, I agree with you there 100%. That's why I think the ether thing is so fascinating. And I used to dismiss it. I thought, oh, don't be silly. But listening to Crit, Lemon Bird, and also Wisfit Gets It now, that these three individuals have given a great case for ether, including the Michelson-Morley experiments and all the others. So, I'm not saying ether's not there. I think it's there. You know what I mean? But I can't prove it. That's the problem at the moment.
See, the thing about the ether is I think about the closed system itself. right? The atrium or the fish tank with a closed lid, whatever you want to, however you want to slice it. But you put that lid on, you close it up, it has a seal to it, and you've got the heavy stuff in there. You got the buildings, you got the rocks, you got the plants, whatever. But then you have all the other soft stuff that literally fills every nook and cranny of this place. And we can further realize its existence because of the sun and the moon and how they actually propagate, show themselves as they interact with this closed system. So I just think of the ether itself, and I say this humbly, of course, that it's strictly the soft stuff comprised within the system that we get to interact with.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely go with that. It's interesting. Like I said, it's fascinating. And it's definitely, I feel it's part of our life. I do feel it's part of it.
I started to take the idea on the other day. You know, the old thought, if a tree falls in the forest, it doesn't make a sound. And then I was taking in the movie Oppenheimer over the weekend. And I highly recommend it, by the way, if you guys have an opportunity to take it in, please do. Lightning strikes, then you hear the boom. Lightning strikes, then you hear the boom. So it's the thought that you see the lightning strike, and then you're able to figure out, extrapolate based on the time that it takes for you to hear it, how far it is away from you. And that's the time that from the lightning striking the ground, that, and I'm not even talking about the sound, I'm just going to say the percussive force, because again, if you're within close proximity and the boom is large enough, you will feel that percussive force of that lightning strike or of that bomb going off or whatever you're looking at. So it's an idea of, again, lightning striking, and then that percussive force, butterfly flaps its wings, replicates itself continuously until the energy dissipates or something interacts with it. And that to me is where it's like one, I mean, we have tons of examples of it, but I think that's one of the most like active real-time things that we can just instantly reach to. It's like if a tree falls in the forest, it doesn't make a sound. Well, yeah, the tree's going to fall. It's going to make a percussive force. The birds are going to feel it because we see them fly away. They'll also hear it because they have ears. They're attuned to hearing. But if a human being's there and we can label it as sound from a standpoint of, hey, that's a human being there and they're hearing it and they're coming back and they're telling me, yes, I heard the tree fall in the forest, then we know it's sound. The sound was in fact created. Okay, I'm done now. Thanks.
Yeah, of course, the tree is going to make a sound because it's going to collide with the neighboring trees as it collapses to the ground. There's going to be an awful racket. It's not going to be quiet by anyone's standard. So that noise is loud. Yeah, and a loud thud when it lands on the ground. It makes a noise without a doubt. Without a doubt. And an interesting noise itself. Whether it's naturally been blown over or if someone has cut the tree down in order to use it to build a building of some kind. Yeah, still interesting, the sound of a falling tree.
Crap.
Well, just to follow up on something you said there, Jen, about the not letting the ether become like a dividing line in the discussion about the flat Earth or whatever. Just to clarify for anyone maybe that's not familiar with some of what went on, just that I think one of the strongest points for a long time with the flat Earth discussion was, can you prove, with the scientific method that this is the case, and that was a stronghold as far as like, look, what's your independent variable, and that was what the go-to was for a lot of these things that came up with the flat Earth discussion. And I would say that because the ether can't have like the independent variable or the proven thing, I think that there's some people that are trying to take it off the table, maybe using that as part of the reason it shouldn't even be discussed. It shouldn't even be part of the discussion. I don't know if Alan's here yet, or he's going to show up. He's here, yeah. But there's some things that he's done with his work recently, as far as what might be called the ether wind, or the preferred direction of light, and some of these particulars that are exposing, the larger side of why we might have been told that we're on a spinning ball, because the ether, I think, my opinion, and a lot of other people here might be of the same mindset, that it's the thing they don't want people to look into. The metaphysical part of this reality is really what they don't want us to start exploring. And it sucks that maybe there is a division in the flat earth, quote unquote, community, whatever that is, where people are saying they're just satisfied with the limited conversation of, oh, just prove that it's a ball, and that's all we need. We don't need to do speculation station with all these other things that might or might not be. And that's where the conversation really does become limited, and it's unfortunate. And that's why it's good that we're having this talk. I'm sure that Alan's going to try to, or at least hopefully, Alan will come in and talk a little bit about his stuff with the ether wind too, and some of the things that he's found out, as well as other people that have explored this topic, which is huge, and it shouldn't even be seen as like whether it's dividing flat Earth or not. It's like the next level, and too bad if you just want to stay with a limited conversation. That's my input for now.
Just to tack onto that real quick regarding, the ongoing, the evolution of the conversation around flat Earth specifically. There, I would just like to mention, we all know the story with, or at least maybe not all of us, but I think a lot of us are familiar with what happened with Bob with the film, where they kind of edited the way that the experiment went, and they use it like to almost show that the proof of a globe. But Bob went out and did more experiments, or did more tests after the film, and different altitudes using the interferometer or using the optical gyroscope at different altitudes yielded like a 2-degree difference in the variance, and a 2-degree difference in the sky is massive. I mean, that's a massive amount of difference in the speed, which implies that it's not, it's the actual sky itself that's moving. It's not, if we were on a globe, those measurements would be linear. You'd have the same amount of movement no matter what altitude you were at, because of the grand, because of the way that the distance would work out, or the way that that math would work out. So this is like relevant to the ongoing discussion as well. Like Bob himself was saying that there wasn't, he was talking about the ether. That's what he was saying, explained all this. So whether he's right or not, that's where the science has led us. So we should talk about it. We should discuss it. We should, see where it goes next.
Yeah, absolutely. There was something that I noted, which it was saying on the 24/7. We went in yesterday and talked a little bit with them, where there's a difference. There's a difference in the speed of this interferometry reading. The higher you go in the altitude, like you're talking about, as well as with the seasons. And these things, I mean, the interferometry is a technology that is huge, and it's like so valuable. And and to let the ballers just have their interpretation that, starting with Michelson Morley, that it disproved the ether, and then on from there, and then just to let that interferometry technology be theirs in their interpretation, and not use it and make it ours like we've been doing, is just blind. It's a blind way to go about it, or it's unfortunate if that's the direction that you just allow it to go, in my opinion. But I don't know, Alan, Shane, they've both been doing a lot of work on the interferometry stuff. I don't know if you want to get into that at all yet, but yeah, it was kind of a cool talk over at Geo's when we're taking back some of these technologies, the interferometry. All your interferometry belong to us.
Yeah.
Kind of a takeoff on that meme.
Yeah.
Huge.
So In terms of like the conceptualization of the ether, like what is it? How do we prove it? Like starting off from just like the framework of interpretation that was before what we were handed now. So at the core baseline of what was changed to like get people out of the ether framework is Maxwell's equations were changed in such a way that it says that an electric charge can, or I'm sorry, that an electric current can generate an electric field. It can just self-induce the field with nothing to carry the charge potential between them. So if you look at the model of what they say a photon is and how an electromagnetic wave propagates, you'll see that they call it a dipole, and what that means is that there's an electric current, which is a vortex going in one direction, and then perpendicular to that, it generates a magnetic field. So this is called the right-hand rule. If you make a thumb, or if you extend your thumb and curl your fingers around to make a fist, and you say the electric current is your thumb, and the magnetic field would be the direction in which your fingers are curled around it, right? So any direction that you tilt your thumb, the magnetic field is going to follow the same curl that your fingers is following, right? So we got these two interactions here. We got two rotating vortexes, and at the intersection point between them, there's that static charge potential that's allowing this propagation to happen. Now, mathematically, Maxwell added some stuff to Faraday's law, Ampere's law, Coulomb's law, and I forget the other one. But what he added was basically saying that with no experimental evidence that electromagnetic waves can self-induce a magnetic field with no evidence ever. In the 170 years since the equations were changed, no one has ever done an experiment to show that an electromagnetic wave can propagate with nothing, right? Even the quote unquote vacuum experiments they now refer to them as physical vacuums, vacuum energy, and all these things because they can't, there's still energy in it, so
vacuum energy.
Right. Yeah. So like they just call it by a different name, failing to acknowledge it. And we get into the history of the historicity of the evolution of natural science, physics, theoretical physics, and all that. And what you'll find is there's a divergence between trying to understand the underlying cause of a phenomenon and like the inner workings of it, and just trying to come up with an elegant description of it. And the phenomenology has taken over, and that's facilitated by abstract mathematics, right? So, what we're dealing with today is all this crazy math that nobody can understand, that that a few select people can understand, and they try and interpret the world through that lens and say that if you don't agree with the math, then you're dumb and all that. But really, the math explanations are just surface level explanations to the phenomenon with no ability to delve deeper into it. And you could tell that's the case with quantum mechanics, right? Because all the elementary particles that they keep discovering are, when you apply different conditions to them, different stress, pressure, etc., all these particles generate, they're all interchangeable and can become one another, sharing, a common denominator, obviously. So they obviously, logic deduction, they come from the same source, right? If they're all interchangeable, what are the odds they all come from the same source, right? So there's just this like underlying deep need to not acknowledge the ether. And of course that the phenomenology of things and the abstract math and stuff really jumped forward in the in 1887 with the Michelson-Morley experiments. So getting into the interferometry aspect of it, we have actual tangible measurements that fit a framework of interpretation that's completely opposite to what was given. That's what's given to us now, and that we're told is true. And there's only can only be really described through crazy math. So when you get into the actual effects of the ether wind, it's like, so what's happening here? So when electromagnetic waves are propagating in a certain direction, light's slightly faster or slightly slower, equivalent to swimming upstream or going against the current or with the current, right? So you're either going to go a little faster or a little slower, and electromagnetic wave propagating is that's exactly what's going on with it. And when you look at all the experimental evidence done and why a new framework had to be imposed over top of it, was because these original measurements, these are first order measurements that show that the Earth is stationary with respect to an ether wind. Now, obviously, the original interpretations, they get into things like, oh, we measured 5 kilometers a second, 7 kilometers, 10 kilometers at altitude. No. The kilometers a second is all just the interpretation of how they reverse engineered the 15 degrees per hour to fit a globe at an equator spinning 1,000 miles per hour to match the sidereal rotation. So when they come up with these numbers for after they do their transformations, and they're like, well, it matched, this galactic speed, they call it galactic speeds in the stuff that I'm reading. It's like when they get into that, that's not those aren't real speeds. Those are just things that they of how they were trying to interpret the experiments when they thought that they could measure the Earth's motion, and they've only ever measured the sidereal rotation. So the translation of motion following the daily rotation of the sky is causing a fluctuation in the electromagnetic propagation. Now that's an absolute refutation to the globe. There's no way around it really. And through the progression of the evolution of interferometry, after Michelson-Morley in 1887, all the way up to 2004, was really where a big pivotal interferometry experiment happened with Ruyang Wang, where he linearized the Sagnac effect, making a conveyor belt out of a fiber optic cable. And so what he was doing with that is, as the cable's like wrapped around the parts that are turning, right, they're looking at how angular rotation affects the readings. And what they found is that also the linear segments contributed to the total fringe displacement, meaning that the interferometry can measure linear motion. So how they got around Michelson-Morley not providing the measurement to prove heliocentrism, they said that interferometers can't measure linear motion. And Wang in 2004 proved the exact opposite to an insane degree. And at the end there's a further review of Wang's paper where that guy Robert Bennett, here's a screenshot of the whole list and summary. So this guy Robert Bennett does an analysis of Wang's paper and realizes that the lab rest frame, which Wang was simulating, canceling out the supposed Earth rotation, right, and the ether wind effect still persisted, showing that it's independent of the type of motion, and it's directionally dependent. So again, there's no answer to this from heliocentrism or relativity theory. The violations here are profound. The delay in the speed of light is proportional to the velocity of the observer, and so they really don't even have a framework to interpret this, right? So you know how they can say, oh, well, what about this reference frame? What about this reference frame? No. All your reference frames are gone now. You can't Lorentz transform into any other reference frames. This is the reference frame you got. You're stuck here on Earth with the rest of us.
That was my, when I first started digging into a lot of this stuff, that was what it really started to seem like to me, was looking at it from a computer science point of view, because I just work in that field a lot. So it seemed to me a lot like with bad code, you have instead of rewriting your code when something's going wrong, you build a new framework on top of it, and then you have the bad code underneath it, but then you have this new framework that allows you to do the things that you want to do, but you're going to run into random issues here and there, and then you can run into a random issue, and then you can build a new abstraction, a new program that still goes back to that bad code, and you end up with these abstractions of the same, and it'll work until it doesn't. And then once it doesn't, if you can't go back and rewrite what you're understanding, you're just going to keep writing more and more complex transforms and changes to introduce more dimensions, and you'll have to just keep adding more random geometry or whatever to your equations to make it all work.
Yeah, and that's exactly the fractal of what happened. So Einstein's theories, are built on what are called postulates, and quantum mechanics is built on the same thing too. So these postulates are just, the equivalent of an ingenious conjecture. It doesn't have to be proven or scientifically anything, just these are my postulates, this is my framework, here's my math, and blah blah blah, right? So when they just make postulates, well, they can just add new postulates, right? So Einstein has relativity has two official postulates, where it's all inertial reference frames are equally valid, and that the speed of light is the same in all inertial reference frames, meaning that there's no ether, because if there was going to be a change in the speed of light, it would be facilitated by that medium. So the implication there is that there's no ether, and that all reference frames are equally valid, meaning that during the mathematics, when they do these transformations, the laws of physics that they're transforming, when they go to a new coordinate system under transformation, the information regarding the laws of physics will remain invariant under transformation, and that's called Lorentz covariance or Lorentz symmetry. And when they run into problems where they couldn't, where the transformations were failing and stuff like that, Einstein had to switch to differential calculus. And the thing with differential calculus is, like you were saying, if you could just change one piece of it, or on the front end or the back end, you can string some stuff together and make things quote unquote generally covariant, and give the appearance that your transformations in mathematics are like a whole product that works eloquently well. And you don't realize that, like, if you pop under the hood, like, oh dude, it's completely empty, like there's nothing under here, this car doesn't even move, it's all made up. Like, you have to imagine that you can't tell if you're moving or if the earth's moving under the car, like it's one of those deals. And then, but like, obviously there's no engine, so it's clearly the car isn't moving, but you just have to mathematically conceptualize that and agree to it. And that's really what's going on. So when they swap out metric tensors to describe either the coordinate system in which they're going to describe space time itself, or they'll swap out a tensor in regards to how they conserve the laws of physics. So conserving angular momentum, and what's the other one? Energy conservation, all that stuff. So they can just swap out a different tensor if it doesn't fit the metric that they started with. They can just try another one and give the appearance that everything looks good, but it's quite the opposite. But as long as they have an eloquent story, like imagine if you presented somebody the equations for a black hole, they wouldn't have no idea what you're talking about. But if you have a great story to follow it, if you have a ton of movies and stuff to like show people visualizations of it, like that's why they're obsessed with trying to show people an image of a black hole, which is obviously you couldn't do it, right? But like they still have to like put the image in your head, because if you can see it and then they can say black hole, they can trigger that like, oh, you're like, yeah, it is a real thing that's somewhere out there. There's you're like, once you have it in your head, you're giving like manifestation to the mathematics, and that's all it is, like on the surface level. Like they're literally saying that their coordinate system collapses in on itself to a point that it breaks their ability to describe the hyperbolic curvature, and it just curves infinitely on itself, and that somehow is equivalent to gravitational effects to which light can't escape from. It's so insane, guys. And but nobody would believe that unless they spent their whole life looking at black hole propaganda, right?
Yeah. And like tacking onto that, like because of the way that it's all how do you even describe it? It's all like kind of separately abstracted into its own, like a bunch of little silos that are all abstracted from reality to make things, to explain things. Because of that, like it causes an incoherence in science, where like the stuff that we're trying to explain about the sky is incoherent with the rest of science, but then they still like shoehorn it in certain areas, and then like they can like basically I'm like getting at the idea that quantum mechanics is like a completely different paradigm than what we see in the sky, and they just somehow are able to hand wave dismiss that.
Yeah. So quantum mechanics started out with like, I think it was 5 postulates or something like that, and now they're up to like 12, and then there's some additional ones, depending on who you ask, right? Like like it's so crazy how like the amount of leadway that you can get with just a postulate and some mathematics that that abstractly describe a phenomenon.
Yeah, I feel like the geodynamo, I like to bring actually I feel like, yeah, it's such a great example of it, because it kind of forces them to shove all of that math into this one little core of our Earth. Like they have a very specific dimension that they have to make this crazy magnetic field work with. And so they have to have the most insane theory to make that work, because they don't have the infinite time and space like they do everywhere else.
Yeah.
But like, man, you end up with just with this like noodly logic where they just have to have the convection currents and like things that they have to. It's just you go into pure theory, and when you go into pure theory, it's just like you can prove anything with enough math, quote unquote prove. You can theoretically prove that it's mathematically mappable.
I don't know, man. I think that now that we have like a better grasp on the ether as like an etheric background, that interferometry can detect moving in one specific cardinal direction faster than any other, and how like the measurements of various interferometry line up with the sky is so much so that at the equinox is the max and the minimum. And then we say that, oh, well, if you have like the Sagnac interferometer, then you aim it at the axial rotation, which happens to be at the sky. Like it can only be said that we've only ever measured repeatedly and with varying degrees of specificity the Earth's sidereal rotation and then misconstrued it as Earth rotation. I think
or the sky sidereal rotation, you mean?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like misconstrued the measurements of sidereal rotation into Earth rotation, right? Because they think that they've measured the rotation of the Earth with things like a pendulum and the thanks Bob and the misunderstanding of what interferometry does before we took it back now that it belongs to us again. Like they used to say stuff like that without understanding the depth of the details of that. Actually, that when you take interferometry measurements with that degree of sensitivity, you actually, first of all, you never detect even a whiff of Earth's orbital velocity, which all of these instruments are way more sensitive and should be detecting that giant velocity that no one can ever seem to measure. But now that they've detected, it's so sensitive, they detect the sidereal rotation of the sky with the translation of motion down, right? They have to aim it at the sky. It lines up with the equinox. It goes faster with the sun. Literally, they're measuring the sky, and then they're telling everyone that they're measuring the Earth. And that has been going along so long now that people say, thanks, Bob, without the slightest understanding of what they're talking about, and they get applauded.
Well said.
I'm also showing like a bunch of this is a bunch of papers. I don't think it's related to Alan's research, but it is all on the same topic. It's all about cosmic ether drift, dynamic energy in space. They call it like a little bit different, but they're all measuring the same things. They are heliocentric, so they think maybe it's the vacuum energy that we spoke of before, or the mysterious energy in the background of space. But it's all experiments from Michelson Morley, literally in a timeline from 1818 all the way through all the way through 2011. People have been performing experiments measuring the ether drift all throughout the Earth. Not only do satellites and the intricacies of GPS and the specificity within there actually require on the Sagnac effect and require the preferred direction of light down to the millimeter when you're trying to measure it. So, I mean, when they do their coordinate system transforms and when they do their range measurement equation through like the measurement of light speed, it's actually dependent on the preferred direction when the receiver. I mean, all the technology that we have is actually dependent on this phenomenon. So to say that it's nonsense and hasn't been proven and has no evidence, it's actually like one of the most evidence claims I've ever come across. Now that I'm actually looking into it, and like all of these experiments, they're actual citations and papers. Like here's one from Albert Michelson. The guy they actually did the experiment after that. All the actual documents have reached the same conclusions, and all the experiments have found the same results. If you read the interesting part here, it says here's a list of all the experiments, and they've all had positive results. So when they say that they keep measuring it to varying degrees of specificity to 0, but they're really just like attaching the arms to make different lengths and putting it in fucking basements, that what's really happening is this is like one of the most measurable, detectable, scientifically grounded and valid postulates that we could possibly have as flat earthers. So we should probably wrap our heads around that.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's such a high level of ammo. Like the globulists haven't even had a solid like refutation to it or answer to it. It's just been a lot of flailing and like watching us infight over it because like we can't, it's lethal, man. This is what they've been hiding. Like they consistently measure it with first order measurements, no corrections, no transformations, none of that. and it follows the sidereal rotation of the sky to the day on the equinox, where the measurements reach their minimum and maximum dimensions.
Yeah, so just to try and like explain that the best I can in like the most like simple way I can is like the way that the sun moves back and forth across the equator, and that movement, you would have a translation of, or you shouldn't have a translation of speed depending on where the sun is on the equator, because if the Earth was rotating, then that speed would be constant. But what is actually measured is that as the sun moves back and forth across the equator, the movement translation from the sky, the speed at which the sky is moving, is translated to the instrument. And there's actually a relationship between the measurement and where the sun is in the sky, which implies that it necessarily has to be the sky moving, not the Earth. Does that seem correct?
Yeah, with the degree of accuracy and amount of data put forward by Dayton Miller, Yuri Gulov, who are the other people? Pruner DeFore, Ruyong Wang, Hector Munera, Munera, somebody else, I forget who. Oh, Dayton, I think I said Dayton Miller. Nicholson Morley, or Nicholson with Gail Pearson. So Nicholson Gear, all these experiments, Sagnac, they're all the same thing. Because they'll try and confuse you too and be like, well, this one's rotating and this one's got 4 meters, this one has 3. Don't care. They're all the same, boys. A linear, straight fiber optic cable wrapped around a conveyor belt it's all the same, guys. The motion, the velocity is proportional to the delay in the speed of light. It's proportional to the fringe shift patterns produced. That's all that matters at the end of the day, because people might try and confuse you or act like once this is a different experiment, this one's rotating. No. Ruyong Wang took care of all that. And also, just like, and furthermore, like just like maybe Wang was wrong, right? Maybe the interferometer experiment, maybe he messed it up, maybe he's like retarded, right? So funny story, GPS actually functions the exact same way. The delay in which the signal is sent to the receiver, or in which the receiver, I'm saying it all wrong. The delay in which the observer gets the signal is proportional to his velocity, directly proportional. So if he's moving, 60 miles an hour down the freeway or whatever, the delay in GPS that he gets from the electromagnetic propagation, it's going to be proportional to his movement. So on all fronts, it's GG, Technology is Æther, all electromagnetic propagation technology is Æther technology. All of it. You know how they say, oh, there's all these radio waves, and all this or whatever they say now. Guess what, dog? Every single one of them is only made possible by carrying that charge potential from the Æther. So.
Yeah, or well, there's a little bit of radiation in there, but that doesn't count as something.
What do our other buddies here who haven't been listening to us talk for a while? What do you guys think of the Æther? Like Riggs is not here.
Yeah, if anyone has questions or whatever, otherwise I can dive into some other aspects of it.
Andrew?
Yeah, I was just going to say my kids are being super loud, so I only got one thought. It's not even like a real question, but would you die quicker if all oxygen was gone instantly and Æther was gone? And who knows what would happen if there was no Æther? Do you think it's life-giving?
Yeah.
Your mic kind of... I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, sorry, my stuff's bad. I was just saying, what's more life-giving, oxygen or Æther?
Well, I don't think there could be oxygen without Æther. I think it makes up everything.
If Æther was just gone, I think all life would just be gone as well.
Yeah, I agree.
What's the medium in which all the vibrations that create our existence and all our perceptions come from those vibrations? Yeah. So, well, I mean, which means that when you have that movement, you have to necessarily have it's more coherent with a mover. You have to have a mover. It makes more sense in my mind, at least, than a cosmos does, an Einsteinian cosmos, where everything is stretching outward infinitely. when you have a medium that's then being moved, I don't know. I think existence becomes a little bit more coherent.
I think I've heard it put from Witsit, right, that all the fundamental forces, like electrostatics, comes forth from the ether under stress or under torsion. And then you talk about what's the source of it. Well, then what's putting the ether under stress could be like, I don't know, God's etheric energy. It has to be a creator of some sort. What's doing that? What's pressing down on the ether to give it torsion to produce the forces of electrostatics and electromagnetism that give fundamental life to everyone here on Earth? Like, yeah, it sounds like something God would do, right?
No. See, if God was going to create a universe, this is what he would do. He would do an infinite explosion from no particular point that could be traced back by mankind. And then everything would expand infinitely faster than the speed of light so that the stars would somehow form a map in the sky for us as we rotate and orbit through it at an insane speed. But we're not ripped apart, though, because it's only 1,000 miles an hour per day or whatever.
But imagine not being able to detect 66,600 miles per hour, but trying to quibble over a fringe shift of a less than a kilometer a second, going, glob. Sorry, Gillian, go ahead, man.
So let's take an idea of a tire. We're going to fill that tire up with air and some condensation, vapor, perhaps, whatever you want to call it, makes it inside of that tire. Now, we're going to get real small. We're going to go inside that tire too. And we observe that there's a pressure of, say, it's a passenger car, 35 psi, 32 psi, whatever. We also observe the water that has made its way inside of that tire. My proposal, my idea to you guys that I hope you're catching, because the question that Boston just said, like oxygen versus ether, I'm saying everything within that closed system, the water, the air, everything is in fact the ether itself. The water is just a further division of the ether. The gas is another division of the ether, but all of it in its totalitism, is that a word? I don't even know. But all of it in its total is in fact the ether. What do you guys think?
I don't know, man. I think it gets kind of crazy when I heard Dave's explanation of it the other day, like when trying to explain the ether to a new person, but giving it like metaphysical, physical, and spiritual qualities and connecting it to everything and always, forever, and its perpetuity. I was like, dude, we can't. I don't know even if I believe it is. I think that it's the energetic background and the fundamental framework through which we perceive phenomena, which we choose to interpret.
That's
phenomena.
not even what I said, though. Respectfully, though, Shane. All I'm saying is literally all the soft stuff that is within the closed system is in fact the ether. It's all good.
And it's
Appreciate you guys as always.
No, I agree. And it's at different perturbance frequencies, and that's what the makeup of everything is.
Yeah, I think it's different pressures, different vibrations, different densities.
Well, it has to do a lot with like when you see a light, do you think that it's getting barraged with little ball-like photons at such a level that have little balls of electrons in them that actually interact and bounce off each other, and that's what creates the light? Or do you think that the light is already there and the perturbation from which it's traveling in the medium actually takes a while to reach your eye, and the rate of that induction is actually the rate at which we quantify the rate of illumination, which gives us the useful metric of light speed? So it's like two different options to interpret the same phenomenon is how I see it.
So, like, if I'm standing at, let's say, the beach, I wave my hands around, I can feel the air, I breathe, I'm breathing the air. The sun shows up, light propagates over the ether. Is the sun not just providing a spark to something that is already there? Isn't that what's happening? This is why I say the ether fills every single void, nook, and cranny of this place. If it doesn't have a solid structure in it, human being perhaps, right? Something that is not solid. Actually, no, human beings contain the ether because we're comprised of water and air as well. So I withdraw that. So if you're not solid state, well, actually buildings comprised of like, well, wood and all these different things, you can actually get down to it and say that the ether is literally in everything. from that degree, right? But just the idea of light is able to propagate anytime the sun or the moon is present, if it's open space, and water, if you pour it, it's going to fill every single cavity that it possibly can. This is why I say the ether is ever present.
Sure. It's ever present, yeah. I don't think we could, like you said before, we couldn't exist without it. But like, it's hard to quantify. And the word, like, to take a leaf out of Democ's book, like, show me ether in a lab, give me a bucket of ether. Like, I get it, and I even get people like Amish and the 24/7 crew like restraining themselves because they can't actually prove it. But if you look through the historicity of it, just like you look through the historicity of NASA, you can get a feel the shady shit that we're doing, and lined up with the Antarctic expedition and when they were founded in the 1950s, like literally after they went to Antarctica, and you can make your own determinations without knowing any of the science that NASA pretends to propagate. And you can do the same thing with the ether if you look through the historicity of it. You don't actually have to look through the experiment. Just look at the sheer list of experiments and all the concurrent findings, and then how the mainstream media says actually Michelson Morley proved there was no ether. And then you come to your own conclusion. Like, imagine Wikipedia still says to this day that the purpose of Michelson Morley was to disprove the luminiferous ether. That gets me going. Every time I look, I'm like, oh my god.
Dude, every time I look in Earth Awakenings and I see like in the text chat somebody says something like, the ether was disproven by Michelson Morley, wasn't it? Like they have like a this is like, yeah, bud, sure was.
I mean, if you go to that paradigm, like if that's your mindset about it, then that you are of the mindset of it has to be rotating, because that's the paradigm that allows you to say they were only testing the existence of the ether. You're basically just admitting that you're starting from a premise of step one, no, which is just a cult.
And that's the worst part. It's like they say something, and this is just more of an observation on the whole thing, but they say something and like everything just falls like dominoes into place because it becomes a if this then that. And they don't even realize it half the time when it becomes an if this then that situation, what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, my question, or basically what I'm just pondering, is the interplay between the ether and electrostatics. Because I've heard Whitsit talk a lot about electrostatics cause matter to hold together and bind, and you get different densities. If you're looking at iron or steel or wood, electrostatics play a part in the holding together of these things and the downward flow from the Gaussian surface above down to the ground. And then the ether. So what I'm getting at is the ether is light and vibration, and also probably energy and electricity and electrostatics. So like what are the properties? What do you think the properties and how do they interact? Electrostatics and ether. Anybody?
I mean,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I think electrostatics is like a product of ether under torsion, like we were saying before. And whatever's put in the ether under torsion could be, could be named God. I think whatever the creation force is, because putting the ether under torsion is what gives us, I think, the fundamental forces, including electrostatics. So I think because like electrostatics holds everything together. Even in the heliocentric mainstream world, you have like electrons and electron levels, and when you're moving up the periodic table, you're just dropping or adding electrons, right? So it's literally just layers of a fundamental force and layers of electromagnetic pressure mediation that determines different fundamental like substances, right? So the whole thing, if God is like the creation force, then the whole thing is being held together and in fact separated, right? So the gradient being separated to give us the things that we know is what's the relation? That's the relationship between ether and electrostatics, to me. What do you guys think?
I had a thought there and then I lost it.
I think it's again in every damn thing. Literally.
Oh, I liked what you said about layers. I think that's a good way to conceptualize it. Is like it's a layer below our existence to an extent. Like not to say that it's not real or something, because that almost makes it sound like it's like that's almost too metaphysical to the point where it's you're like saying like, oh, you don't have to be able to conceptualize of it, but like what I'm trying to say is that it's like like we can't measure it because we're in it. Like if it was like a flow, like a flow of all of everything, and then we have the frequency vibration of that flow, then that stands out to us in our perception of it within like a consistent point in that frequency, I guess, or a consistent point in that flow. And so that's like what all matter would be, and all vibrations would be relevant to that flow. And that's why it's hard to measure that flow.
Yeah, man. Like how Einstein like dumbed out and said actually you can never detect motion of Earth from Earth. It's kind of like that, like with the ether. Like what he said was stupid and nonsense because we're not moving. But how would you detect the ether from within the ether? Is like I think the correlative.
Yeah, but what if the ether was doing work? What if the ether was demonstrating itself in air pressure, as in we say commercialized 14.7 psi, 1 bar at water at sea level, and then as we engage with the air itself or the water itself, we go down 32.8 feet, and the air pressure or the pressure, of the water increases by 1 bar, 14.7 psi. And then we go higher in altitude, as Boston was saying earlier, electrostatics, like we get a charge we go higher in the gradient, right? What if all these things were literally measurements of the ether doing work?
I mean, they could be, but then it's like you get back to the same problem of like, how do you prove that's if you can explain it without it, then it's hard to, draw any kind of causal relationship.
How do you attribute all electromagnetic interference and all electrostatics to ether, though? I mean, it is, but I don't know how to prove that.
I just keep coming back to the idea that it's like ever present. It's like the grandfather, or there we go. It's like the octopus with 8 different arms, right? All those different arms doing different things, but the octopus is still there, the head of the octopus, if you will. So from
I guess
a standpoint,
there is the simple answer of like, what about a vacuum with electrical charge or light propagating through it? It's like there has to be a medium there.
Exactly. So it's
how does something travel across nothing if there's no wave to there's no possible explanation other than incoherent particle wave duality.
Just one of the funniest things in the world, and why you're a flat earther. I love
it. Yep.
Actually, it's constantly two opposite things at once, right? Yeah,
and it only changes when you look at it and try and measure it.
It knows.
It puts on its disguise.
It knows when you're thinking about it, and it knows who's naughty and who's nice. So if you think about it in a naughty way, it will go left and change its path, and actually thus its state.
No, dude, it's all just like, it's an orbit, it's a circular orbit, but it's also a little bit elliptical, but then it's perceived as completely linear, and you can't tell that it's elliptical, and good grief.
Hey, we lost Cyrus.
It's funny how they hid the ether from us, and I'm just like, how did they hide it? But then I think they freaking hid the true Earth. I mean, they made everyone believe in a globe, and it was a massive deception. And we're in this new age where people are waking up left and right, like by the thousands a day. I feel like they're getting exposed to it to begin the thinking process of coming out from under the deception. Many won't, but I mean, I saw a video just last week of a dude who took a drone up 100 meters and had thin copper wire hanging from the drone, and he said, "You cannot touch this. You cannot touch the end of this." And I guess because it's ungrounded, it's tapping into that energy, and it's becoming like it will shock the crap out of you. That's amazing.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the Corona motor stuff, JT?
I've seen some stuff where these dudes are like TikTok style showing the energy that they're being able to produce, and they're like, and they're showing more energy and turning on halogen lamps, and they're high-fiving because they're like playing with it. It just makes me think how much
are the elite or the ones in the know messing with this free energy and powering things and secret projects and elevating, like the UFOs and stuff flying around in it, mercury powered engines. There's probably so much going on in Antarctica and all around us, and we're just barely starting to like think about it.
Yeah, we're just like coming out of a fog, man, you know?
Yep. Hey, did you see the video? I mean, is this on YouTube? Because I got to be kind of careful, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, you're straight.
Okay. Well, it just had to do with the whole thing with possible energy, weaponized energy, and they had a blue color. And has anybody seen that where they're sending energy across all the colors, but the blue just kind of absorbs it or didn't really affect it? And when you look at certain areas that have a lot of untouched blue stuff, it's kind of trippy.
I haven't seen it. You showing it now, Shane?
Show it in Telegram.
No, I was gonna show something else.
Yeah, do whatever.
I just dropped the X link with it.
Oh, an X link? Wait, what?
I can hear Twitter, but
are you sending the thing I'm asking for or not, Toby? You're being very frustrating.
I sent what JT was just talking about.
Oh, I was like, dude, I've been picking you in the chat forever, and you haven't given me whatever. It's fine. I need to save the markdown links for
You've been pinging me in the chat.
Yeah, man. I need to save the Aether Cosmology markdown so I can put it on the notes for the live that I have going, so people can find us. Is that it? Really? You made a redirect for it? Ethercosmology.com will get you there?
Yeah.
That's so dope. All right.
Respect, Toby. Very nice.
Nice. So, I think I wanted to show a quick video. I don't know if you guys want to watch this. It's 10 minutes and it's from Space Busters.
Oh, good.
Absolutely.
It's kind of the first time I ever heard anything about etheric energy, and it's almost got nothing to do with the ether on the level that we were just discussing it. But I think it's interesting in this relationship to etheric energy or atmospheric energy, as I think we were calling it. And like I think that's what Old World Tartaria was using with the old school buildings and the big antennas and all the bells and the luminescence. I think that's what they were getting it from. They were just pulling it down from the sky and disseminating it. And perhaps even storing it in star forts to be all crazy with you.
I mean,
let's see.
You could definitely store some stuff in a star fort.
I mean, like water energy, because dude, they're all like in the patternization of a specific frequency, like the way that they're built.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you ever seen those? There's that guy on YouTube. His name's Paul Cook. He does a bunch of old world videos and stuff, and he goes to like these ancient rundown churches and abbeys and stuff in England and whatnot. And what he found in like the history of them is that these places, they have like these deep reservoirs built into them that are like laid with what's that red brick? Yeah, it's called literally red brick, but it's like it's got iron in it or whatever, so it can, forget what he was saying with it, but basically like they were electrically charging water or something like that and then holding it in these rooms with the bricks, and then you would go there to get water, but it would be like pure healing water, and it would like make you healthy and stuff. Like that's like the history that he kind of uncovered through it or whatever. But like that was the functionality of these places and like these red bricks, and like all this stuff had a purpose. It wasn't just like somebody wasn't like, it'd be cool if we make a giant tower structure and add all this antiquitech on top of it for no reason.
Yeah, it was all for a purpose, and it was like grandiose on a scale which we can't even comprehend. Like the amount of elegance and beauty they put into something that actually was pure form and function was amazing.
Yeah, I like to bring up just it also coincides with a geocentric world and a heliocentric world. Like even if you were to not accept that there's something else to it, like just the archaeology itself is like so different. It's like, that's what happens when everyone becomes a nihilist. Like there's no reason to make anything beautiful,
right? And that's what they want, is everyone to be a nihilist. That's why they want to make you believe you're in a world with a billion worlds just like it, and just a speck of a dust that arose from a cosmic unicorn fart that was actually a cosmic accident. And you actually came about when a retarded fish banged a monkey and flopped off the sea and just happened to like evolve into you. And literally you mean nothing and have nothing and there is nothing. So don't worry, just have fun. Do what thou wilt and praise Satan.
Yeah, Owen Benjamin calling it the perfect mind fuck. It's so true.
Yeah. So
I don't know if you guys have watched it or not, but Iwarnan, you know that guy, right? His new his new YouTube page. He has like this like a set of videos on basically the water under these abbeys and stuff like that, and he connects it back to Antarctica and what they're doing with the neutrino detector.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, you saw that?
Yeah, I watched that whole thing because you made me.
Oh, I did? Okay.
You were like, you should watch it. I was like, it's about aliens. You were like, you should watch it. I was like, fine. And then I was like, oh, look at this guy in Antarctica. This time to coming forward is saying that they actually have a giant harp structure, more energy than they know what to do with, and they're actually not receiving as intended, but projecting. And now it's a mobile station for like, earthquakes or whatever the fuck they were doing with it.
Yeah, no, this is something completely different that also connects. That's what I'm talking. Like, no, like we were talking about that. The guy was talking about it in that video, but Warren Nons has this new like he has a series and in his like the last episode of the series, I'll link it. I'll put it in the chat. He's actually talking about the neutrino detectors in Antarctica that link to the underwater systems in these abbeys and cathedrals and all this stuff that he believes that it seems like he's trying to say that these healing waters actually come from like the cosmos, and they were able to like harness this energy, and they know how to do it, and that it flowed under these cathedrals. They were able to, just how like he was saying that with the red brick and stuff like that, like they were able to keep it and pull it in the underneath these churches and use it for healing waters. Like, it's crazy. Like, you guys are talking about this and I'm just like, oh shit, I just watched this.
Nice.
It's
That actually
insane.
is a great segue to this. I think he calls it Æther, the fifth element. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but we can watch and talk over it if you want. If everyone wants to tune in real quick, if you're not.
Well, that's why I wanted
Everyone's
to tell you, because I was like, it sounds like exactly where you're going with this. So cool. I'm gonna post it anyway, but yeah,
Oh
let's
yeah,
watch.
hell yeah. Yeah, this is only
Oh,
like
yeah.
I think 8 minutes, but it's about energy and etheric. It's like literally who brought up the engine that pulls etheric energy? What's that called? The fucking cosmic motor or something?
Corona motor.
Corona motor. That's what it is. Yeah, like that, like pulling energy from the atmosphere is exactly what this guy's talking about.
Yeah. Did you say you were gonna play it at 1.5, bro?
Could.
Just kidding. You don't have to.
Let me figure out which one of those means that in VLC. Hold on.
Oh yeah, you gotta. Dude, it's a mess.
It's gonna skip it. I'm gonna press the wrong one. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I love this guy.
Beautiful.
Whoa! I never knew that.
What?
I never knew that. Oh my god!
Oh, dude, none of us knew that.
What? Gulak.
Was that Larry? You go back a second.
BGP protocol, baby.
Wizardry. Oh, just like the. Never mind.
Wait.
There it
Keep
is.
pause it for a second. Pause it for a second. Dude. Holy shit.
It's a good one, huh?
That what he just said right there was like a light bulb moment for me because yeah, that's like a known thing with fiber optics. You need boosters. And all it does is just repeats the exact light signal that it receives because light can't travel forever.
No way. You're saying that because
No
of
way.
attenuation, it can't just extend out into nothingness in perpetuity and then actually propagate itself from nothing in perpetuity as well.
Exactly. Holy shit.
That's crazy.
Yeah, continue, sorry.
Yeah,
Wait,
we're
go
already.
back like 30 seconds. He says vaccine booster. He added that in
Well,
there. We were kind of
well,
laughing
yeah,
at
well,
that idea.
well, I was laughing because that's what I was thinking when he was talking about it, and then he made the same joke that was in my head, and then I just kind of let it go, and I was like, "Oh, it's okay.
Right?
He already took care of it." I was like,
But it's weird how he threw that in there so quickly. But I don't know
"Yeah,
if you want to go back like 30 seconds, but
no." Well, we're on YouTube. We're gonna let that one pass. Probably would be smart.
okay.
I'll just
I
keep
think, right on
going
the
in.
nose. Yeah. We don't want to get taken down the first day.
I mean, that's kind of an honor too.
No way.
I mean, you do have an Ethernet cable, Shane.
Right? Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, I'm downloading all those books later, by the way. In case anyone was
Nice.
wondering, they'll be on Telegram later. Oh, no problem.
This paints Einstein in the correct light, I think.
That Aldi router.
I mean, I'll just say I've like racked and unracked ISP
Yep.
servers. Like this guy's like I don't know. I network drivers like
This dude just said dog knows when to walk because of ether.
I've seen how the BGP protocol works with Google, and like I don't know, I don't see any magic.
But Nixon can talk to the moon. Yeah, we know that.
That's an interesting concept.
Yeah, I don't know if he knows how that internet traffic and packets work. I love the stills that he chooses.
Well, I do like this guy's video editing. I will say that.
Oh, dude, Shane, everything's moving to the cloud, right?
Yep. The
And then,
etheric cloud, we should
dude,
call it.
the cloud has so much more storage. You can access everything on the cloud. It'll be on the cloud. Guys, they're storing everything in the ether. I don't know, maybe. Because think about this, right? Sorry, wait. I was gonna say, like, all the data they allegedly store and stuff. Like, how could it be physically possible to store all that stuff in an actual location? Like, they're just storing it in the air, aren't they?
Like, well, then what's the point of a server farm? When they like, or like one of them tech things, look, they have just like immense hard drive spaces upon hard drive spaces that pipe out. I don't know, maybe
That's like phase one. I don't know.
Look like
could be a ruse.
Yeah,
had a lot of fake houses that look like houses that aren't houses, and buildings that are
I mean, like, we
just
could just be building shell factories that we're like, yeah. We got like a minute. Maybe.
Galaxy brain. This dude's awesome.
Boom, there it is.
Yeah.
And then sell you oil and
Yeah,
dinosaur
man, so-
juice to run your cars.
Dude, so right when relativity and ether and the movement of the earth and all that stuff was popping off, like the the steam engine and oil and all that stuff was starting to pop off simultaneously. And the people that control the refinement of the oil to make all the raw materials and control all that level of industry and all that, like you could see how like any technological advancement and all that was like, there was going to be a preferred direction, so to speak, of like keeping this technology advancement, under wraps and under control by the people who were refining all the raw materials and everything, and building everything.
Yeah, man. That was one of the first exposures to then even the word ether that I've ever come across. And as we were talking about it, I was reminiscing about it.
Yeah.
And when I said I would play a video, and Toby's like, "Oh, you have one?" I was like, "No," but I immediately thought of this one, so I'm glad I got to play it and share it with you guys.
Yeah, I'm glad you made me watch it because I would have never watched it on my own, and there was some gravy in there. So
I think JT already took it for himself. That's straight from the Spacebusters channel. It's like one of their first videos.
Nice. Yeah, I'm definitely going back and grabbing all those books. So
Cool. Does anyone else want to keep talking about the ether, or should we wrap up the stream? We're only like an hour and 20 minutes, but we've had a lot of good gravy talk so far.
Yeah, no, I've got not much else to say. I mean, I can like yeah, we can wrap it up here. I'll just go ahead and like stop my stream, and then I'm gonna restart another one and just go back to 24/7.
Oh, nice. You made a special like event stream. I figured you would just gotta let it roll into your big 12-hour thing.
I mean, I did, but I did just to make it easier to archive it, really.
Right.
Hey, I don't know if you want to end this the way that I came in before when you guys were talking about the ether. I could read a little bit of
Yeah.
the Brenner.
Yeah.
The Brenner comments about this might be.
I was looking
way
for it, but I couldn't find it. I knew I should just like
Oh,
think at
perfect.
you, and then you'd be able to do it instead.
Yeah, I'll read a couple of the parts I read before. He says, no technology operates on the basis of the negation of ether. The entire field of electrical engineering is nothing but the engineering of ether polarization. That people are unaware of that is just because schools are manipulated into teaching an etherless world. Oliver Heaviside and Carl Proteus Steinmetz should be household names, but they aren't. Why? They are, after all, the fathers of electrical engineering, and thus the fathers of our electrical civilization. They are kept in obscurity because they teach ether physics, and a broad awareness of the potential of the ether is the greatest threat to the power monopolies who thrive on the control that is the scarcity of energy. Tesla hits the nail on the head when he points out the infinite energy reservoir that the ether represents. And he quotes Tesla by saying, nature has stored up in the universe infinite energy. The eternal recipient of transmitter of this infinite energy is the ether. The recognition of the existence of the ether and of the functions it performs is one of the most important results of scientific research. And then I'll also read, all ancient cosmologies and mythologies are applied ether physics. We just don't understand it anymore because math has taken over the field of science. In ancient times, science was done in spoken language which you could relate to and transmit to the ordinary people. Modern science is a secret cult using a language that is totally detached from a physical reality as well as the intuitive understanding. Would physicists and mathematicians be forced to express their findings in spoken language, anyone would immediately recognize the scam that has been perpetrated.
Good shit.
Yeah. That's the shit that they're hiding, man. Oh, I'll link this. I'll put this in their live stream if anyone hasn't already gotten a post of this from me. And then there's another one too that there's good parts I was gonna maybe bring up before, but we did it there. That's pretty good. Closing statement if you want to end it there. There's a bunch of stuff.